Unconditional love, where the rubber meets the road. First of all, remember to please like this video, to share it on social media if it meant something to you, and to subscribe for future videos. So when it comes to unconditional love, sometimes philosophy can seem way up here and we're way down here, and it can just be a little bit overwhelming. And honestly, it can just feel a little bit out of touch. I totally get that, and I often feel the exact same way. So what can we do about that? How can we develop more unconditional love? When we are just like, I'm so sick of the person next to me, I hate my coworker, or my kids are driving me nuts, or this person cut me off on the freeway. In those moments, philosophy really doesn't seem to be connecting much, right? One of the jokes that I say to my husband is, I am such a loving person when I'm all by myself. I can love unconditionally all day long when nobody's with me. Of course, it's a joke, but it's true, right? We tend to feel this way. And of course, that's the whole point. It's the process of engaging in these relationships that truly teaches us how to love unconditionally. But how can we get there? Where does the rubber meet the road? So what I'm going to talk about in this video are some key attributes that help lead us to unconditional love. So maybe in the moment when we're feeling really frustrated, like I said, when someone has cut us off, when someone's criticizing us, when we're in a heated debate about something, when someone has done something completely unkind that we had no control over, all of these different situations, what can we do? How can we exercise love? Well, if love seems too far, what about respect? What about respect? What about tolerance? Tolerance and respect are an important part of unconditional love. Tolerance is being able to say, I feel this way, you feel this way, but I see the value in both. I respect both. And I understand that if I had your experiences, I would view it that same way, even though I don't. That's tolerance. That is an important stepping stone to unconditional love. What about patience? What about giving people the space to be a process? What about that? What if we could do that? What if instead of demanding that people are what we want right now, that people have learned what we have learned, that people are our idea of right or good, what if we could exercise patience and say, you know what? They're figuring things out just like I am. Just like I am. Now that also ties into compassion. What if we could exercise compassion when someone is struggling, when someone criticizes us? What if instead of taking it personally, we realize, man, they have to have some rough stuff going on if they feel they need to lash out. One of the sayings I love is hurt people hurt people. So if you feel like someone's trying to hurt you, could you look at perhaps the ways they have been hurt rather than taking it personally? Could you have compassion? That's an important part of developing unconditional love. Now we could keep going with this all day. There's so many attributes, right? There's so many attributes. What about humility? We need that one. We really need that one. We're all so sure that we are right. We're so sure about it. What if we took a step back and said, what could they teach me? What could they teach me? What if we could have some humility? These are all different, amazing attributes, excellent attributes. Even humor. What if we could just use humor to just laugh stuff off, have it not be a big deal, right? So one of the things I want to talk about before I close this video is, why is this so difficult? One of the reasons is because we have to love ourselves first. We have to love ourselves first. So when we had itty bitty babies, I was home with them, and I remember talking to my husband about how sometimes at the end of the day, I was just emotionally drained. And I remember explaining it to him. I pulled a measuring cup, one of those 2-cup ones that's glass and it looks like a little pitcher. I remember pulling it out and telling him, it's like I wake up and I have this much water. And I remember filling it up and saying, But then this happens with the kids, just dumps it out. And then this happens, dumps it out. And then so-and-so calls me and criticizes me, dumps it out. All these things, and I'm explaining this to him, and I say, by the end of the day, it's empty. It's empty. Well, I had to learn how to cope with that and figure that out. That was my issue. But it is an excellent analogy for our emotional resources and self-love. It's an excellent analogy because if we are full, if our pitcher is full of self-love that comes from us, that we know we are a process and we embrace that we love who we are, that we know we're valuable, independent of what anyone else thinks about us. That's just our nature, to be good, to be important, to be valuable, to have things to contribute. If we can view ourselves that way and bloop, 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 it's full, what's going to happen if someone comes up and criticizes us and it splashes a little water out? It's going to be no big deal. It's going to be no big deal. What if you only have less than an ounce left? It's going to be a big deal. So we have to love ourselves first. Otherwise, no matter what love anyone else is extending, we're going to filter it through the lens of criticism rather than filtering it through the lens of love. Okay? So, great things for all of us to practice. So next time you're in a moment where you're like, how could this be better? How could I give more love? Maybe focus on one of those other attributes. Maybe pick one right now, one that you know you could practice. Is it patience? Is it humility? Is it compassion? Is it tolerance? Just work on that one, and it'll be incredible the difference it will make. And you'll get closer and closer to the love that you want to have for yourself and for others. It's amazing. Give it a go.